Under the glare of studio lights, live television has a way of magnifying every word, every expression, and every mistake. That night, millions of Americans were tuned in, sipping their late-night coffee, waiting to see sparks fly between two very different personalities, Jessica Tarlov, the sharp-tongued liberal commentator, and Senator John Kennedy, the plain-speaking Louisiana lawmaker with a wit sharper than a razor's edge. It started calmly enough. A heated debate on economics and public policy. Jessica was in her element, a quick, articulate, weaving statistics and polished arguments like a symphony. Kennedy listened patiently, leaning back in his chair with that folksy half-smile of his, the one that made it hard to know whether he was amused or preparing to deliver one of his famous one-liners. Then it happened. Frustrated by his refusal to bow to her logic, Jessica blurted out, "You sound like a complete psycho, Senator." Honestly, no reasonable person talks like that. The words hung in the air like a blade, sharp and personal. The studio audience gasped, the hosts shifted uncomfortably, and even Jessica's own expression betrayed a flash of regret. But it was too late. The insult had landed. For a moment, Kennedy didn't move. He simply adjusted his glasses, looking down at his notes. Viewers across the country braced for his response. Would he lash out? Would he retreat? Instead, Kennedy leaned forward, his voice calm, slow, and piercing. "Miss Tarlov," he said, his southern drawl thick as honey, "where I come from, calling someone a psycho isn't an argument, it's an insult, and when folks run out of facts, that's usually all they've got left. But let me remind you of something. This isn't about me, or you. This is about the American people. They don't need name-calling, they need answers." The room went silent. Even Jessica's eyes softened, the fiery confidence slipping for just a moment. But Kennedy wasn't finished. "You see, I grew up in a little town where respect wasn't optional. You looked your neighbor in the eye, even when you disagreed with them. You treated them with dignity, not because they earned it, but because you owed it to yourself. Now, I've been called a lot of things in my life, but a psycho is a new one. Still, I'd rather be called that than be so afraid of the truth that I hide behind insults." His words landed with the weight of conviction, but they weren't cruel. They were steady, unshakable, and deeply human. The audience erupted in applause, and the camera panned to Jessica, who was visibly shaken. She tried to interject, but the energy in the room had shifted entirely. For the rest of this segment, Jessica's tone softened. She stuck to her points, but the sharp edges were gone. Kennedy, meanwhile, carried himself with a quiet dignity, never raising his voice, never once retaliating with the venom she had unleashed. Instead, he turned the conversation back to policy, to the struggles of working families, to the heart of why people were watching in the first place. After the show ended, clips of the exchange spread like wildfire across social media. The moment Kennedy rebuked her not with anger, but with wisdom, it became a rallying cry. Commentators from both sides praised his restraint. "This," one host remarked, "is what leadership looks like." But perhaps the most surprising reaction came from Jessica herself. A day later, she issued a public statement. "Last night on live television, I let my emotions get the better of me. I used words I shouldn't have, and I disrespected Senator Kennedy. He reminded me, and all of us, that we can disagree without demeaning each other. For that, I owe him an apology." Kennedy's response, a short, humble remark, "We all make mistakes. What matters is whether we learn from them." And just like that, what began as a moment of insult turned into a lesson in humility, respect, and the power of words. Kennedy had proven that strength isn't about shouting the loudest or striking the hardest. Sometimes, true strength is in the silence between sentences, in the choice to stand firm without striking back. That night left a mark not only on Jessica Tarlov, but on everyone who watched. It reminded the nation that even in an era of division, grace can still win the day. And maybe, just maybe, that's what America needs most.